morning. I want to thank all of you for being here and taking the time to be here. By now, most of you probably have had an opportunity to see the news reports on the front page of the Dayton Daily News yesterday about the alleged violations of law involving campaign contributions to Richard Cordray's campaign. These developments are enormously troubling in any political race, but particularly in a race for Attorney General, the state's top law enforcement officer. Voters expect their Attorney General to operate above the law, to obey both the letter and the spirit of the law. Based on the evidence that, at least to date, has been uncovered by the Dayton Daily News, it may appear that Richard Cordray has fallen below that standard. Now here's a recap of what was reported this past weekend in the Dayton Daily News. Monford Will, who is a Columbus-based bond trader for Wachovia Securities, and prior to Richard Cordray taking office as state treasurer, Wachovia Securities was doing less than 1% of the state's bond trading. Within Richard Cordray's first 2 weeks as state treasurer, he received a $10,000 contribution, the maximum allowed under Ohio finance law, from Lindsay Cuddy. The spelling of that name is K-U-T-Y. I trust that's the correct pronunciation. Ms. Cuddy, according to the report of the Dayton Daily News, is the 25-year-old stepdaughter of Mr. Will. Not long after that donation, Wachovia's share of the state bond trading business increased 3,700%. No other state investment program awarded Wachovia such an increase in business. When asked if the money actually came from his stepdaughter or from him, Mr. Will went ahead and stated on the record that the money came from mother. As outlined in the news report, these facts present two potential problems. First, campaign donations funneled through other people are illegal. Just ask Tom Noe, who was sentenced to more than 2 years in prison for doing just that. Secondly, state vendors, such as Mr. Will, and their spouses can contribute no more than a total of $2,000 in any 24-hour period. The potential penalty for violating election laws in this way is forfeiture of the ability to take office, should the candidate win the election. But Richard Cordray knows this, because 10 years ago this month, when Mr. Cordray was running for Attorney General the first time in 1998, he alleged that his opponent violated the elections law. He falsely suggested at that time that Betty Montgomery's campaign improperly funneled money to the campaign of another state candidate. Nothing ever came of this accusation, but something he told the Columbus Dispatch, I believe, is very important to our discussion here this morning. At that time, Mr. Cordray pointed out that the penalty for being involved with funneled campaign contributions is forfeiture of the elected office. So don't take my word for it when I tell you that Ohio Revised Code section 3517.992 suggests that that's the penalty to be in place. You can go ahead and take Mr. Cordray's word for that himself. A copy of that article where he said that and the relevant section of the Ohio Revised Code should have been included in your press packets. If you don't have a copy of those, let us know and we'll make sure you get them. These facts alone are troubling enough, but Mr. Cordray's flimsy responses only raise more suspicion. When asked by the Dayton Daily News about the donation, he claimed there was no connection between the maximum contribution and the 3,700% increase in the firm's business with the state. He also claimed that he didn't know Ms. Cuddy and that he didn't know anything about the contribution. But then he said he would give the money back. His exact quote is as follows: "In any case that is brought to our attention, where there may be any question, even an appearance question with the contribution, we step up and address it and return a contribution where we think there is any appearance question." That's interesting because in August, the Ohio Republican Party asked Mr. Cordray to return $20,000 in campaign contributions from Jimmy DeMora and Frank Russo, two Cuyahoga County officials at the center of a massive federal investigation into public corruption. Mr. Cordray refused to return the $20,000. I also find it hard to believe that Mr. Cordray was completely unaware of Lindsay Cuddy, as he suggested. I'm certain that he has many contributors who have maxed out to his campaign, but I'm willing to bet not many of them are 25 years of age. The fact is that Mr. Cordray has a history of receiving campaign contributions from Mr. Will and his family members and business associates. Between 2002 and 2004, Mr. Will received nearly $20,000 from Mr. Will, his wife, his son, and his business partner in his race for Franklin County Treasurer. These are the kind of donors whose names you know. Mr. Cordray will tell you that the investment has outperformed expectations. I don't doubt this. He will tell you that his selection process for bond traders was open and objective, possibly. He has told us that he works hard to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Well, it would seem, based upon what we've seen here, that Mr. Cordray has a PR problem in that regard. His actions simply don't match up to his words. After 8 races and 18 years, his actions have become those of a professional politician. Tell the voters what they want to hear, then do whatever you want to do once you're elected. Having been a prosecutor for more than 2 decades, I understand the difference between evidence and proof. In this instance, the evidence does not look good. Ohioans have a right to know who they're really voting for. This is too serious an issue to sweep under the rug. Within the next couple of days, we will be filing an action with the Ohio Elections Commission to address these very, very serious allegations. We will ask for an expedited hearing, and we will seek to take the sworn deposition of everyone involved, including Mr. Cordray himself. If the evidence uncovered by the news media proves to be true, then Richard Cordray is guilty of the same pay-to-play and culture of corruption that Mark Dan campaigned against and then practiced while in office. The legal action we will take this week will help to get to the bottom of this. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.